Number 1 by Anonymous. A hiker was making his way through the dense woods of a moonlit forest as he'd done many times before. The loosely packed dirt of a trail not yet blazed gave way under his boots as he ventured late into the night. It was far past midnight by this point, and the hiker desperately needed to sleep. The man knelt down and shrugged off his backpack, preparing to set up his tent, until he took note of a light somewhere afar in the distance. With curiosity piqued, he donned his pack once more to discover the source of the light. As he approached the offending bulb, he began to notice that it wasn't a light by itself, but an entire cottage, lit up somewhat dimly in the dead of the night. Manners be damned, the hitchhiker decided that he'd ask the owner of the cottage for some lodging for the night. After all, his tent could be awfully uncomfortable from time to time. However, after several minutes of bare knuckles rapping against solid oak, not a single soul answered his call. He continued to knock and knock and knock, hoping that somebody was home to shelter him. After a few more bouts of this, the man pursed his lips, quickly making a decision of ethics to sleep outside or intrude without invitation. What they don't know won't hurt him, the man decided, testing the lock to see if breaking and entering was in order. To his surprise, the door gave way instantly, the hinges eerily creaking as he made himself at home in the cottage. The cottage was simple enough. There was a small to sleep outside or intrude without invitation. What they don't know won't hurt him, the man decided, testing the lock to see if breaking and entering was in order. To his surprise, the door gave way instantly, the hinges eerily creaking as he made himself at home in the cottage. The cottage was simple enough. There was a small kitchen that was attached to a living room, with nothing held but a pull-out couch. It was fairly standard, nothing fancy, but it was better than a tent. The only thing that the hitchhiker wasn't comfortable with was an odd sort of collection that the occupant of this cottage had. Some sort of painting collection of disfigured faces with malicious expressions that lined the walls of the room. Each canvas seemed to glare at the man with personal hatred and malice that he'd never experienced before. After a few moments of curious staring and cold shivers, the man turned away from the air and tucked himself into bed for a night's rest. After a few hours of abysmal sleep, the hiker rose with an uncomfortable feeling. He felt uneasy and stood to his feet to gather his belongings before setting off again as quickly as possible. As he packed his bedroll back into his pack, he stared again at the wall once more to gaze upon the odd paintings that he had seen the night before. His heart stopped cold as he realized they weren't paintings, but windows. Number 2. The day my daily routine changed forever. I used to go walking every day after work at a country park with great wooded trails. This park had a walking loop on the east, and this was where mostly everyone did their walking / running / biking. I preferred the trails on the western side. I loved my daily walks. I used to see deers, snakes, even hawks, and once had a scary run-in with a hog. But nothing was more frightening than the day that I decided never to go back alone. Since no one could actually spare the time to come with me, I just stopped going altogether. I would usually get there around 5:20ish and walk until just before 7. I walked so fast I could do all the trails, including the loop on the eastern end before heading back to my car. This afternoon I decided to park in a different spot, close to the trail. I would walk out of once I was done, because the truck was parked in my usual spot, nearest the head of the trail I always started on. To set off, everything seemed fine, but I did have an uneasy feeling in my stomach. I bolstered through it, walking and walking, when I noticed a man hanging out by the boardwalk that traversed the swampy part of the trail. He was just hanging out there, like waiting. I decided to bypass the boardwalk and take a trail just before it. I was annoyed because this trail was a shortcut which would cut into some of my mileage. I shrugged mentally and pressed on, thinking I would walk the eastern loop twice to make up for it. The uneasiness fell away, and I only realised when it came back full force I was on the northernmost part of the trail, the shadiest because of the dense overhead foliage. I heard footsteps behind me. I turned to see the guy from before running up the trail. He wasn't wearing running clothes or any kind of workout type gear. Black jeans, what looked like Converse sneakers, and a dark blue hoodie. I turned back towards the trail and hoofed it. I didn't want to panic and think he was after me, but I also didn't want to take the chance. Since I was far enough ahead of him, I was able to take another less travelled overgrown trail that looped back west. This trail was closer to a creek and a lot overgrown, which was why I rarely used it. I waited for a bit to make sure he would continue down the other way, away from me. When he stepped out of the trail where it split southeast, or where I was north, he stopped and looked all around. He was looking for me. I just had a feeling. I tried to stay quiet. My breathing tried to be muffled, but even in the panic, I couldn't do very well. Waiting to see which way he'd go, I realised that he was going south. I ran along the side a large drainage ditch that fed into the creek at the back. The trail east was wooded because I obviously wasn't on the south trail. He went east now. I would book it west and then south to my car, but I stayed the south trail longingly. It was the fastest way back, but it was also wide open and he would see me if he happened to look back. Before I could make a decision either way, he popped back into view and began to head south. Looking around all the while against my better judgment, I plunged back the way I'd come, walking hard and fast. I cut through some of the forest and reached a trail I knew would get into the parking lot faster. Once I got to my car, legs pinching and tingling from the rapid-fire walk, I drove out of the park. On my way out, there's a section that drives over a drainage ditch with a view of the trail next to it. The guy was loitering there. He didn't see me, but I still didn't stop hyperventilating until I was home. I may have overreacted, but I don't think so. In any case, I never went back alone, and when we've gone as a family, I miss the trails and my daily walks. I hate it that my fear ruined what I used to enjoy so much. Let's not meet again. And that brings us to the end. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching. If you've got any suggestions, please email me. And if you like the video, subscribe and leave a like, and there'll be many more to come. Thanks again. Bye.